Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and I am very excited for this. A little bit of Esker Hart up in this piece in the form of their Welcome to the Forest, Esker Hart Brewing. This is a 12.5% Imperial Stout conditioned on toasted coconut and Madagascar vanilla beans. Brewed and bottled by Esker Hart Brewing Company, or Artisan Ale, sorry. Highbridge, New Jersey. That's the part that has me all kind of tickled pink. Highbridge, 30 minutes away from me. New brewery. They're actually, Highbridge Brewing was in Highbridge, New Jersey. They closed their doors and Esker Hart kind of took over. It's been, I want to say, give or take about a year or so since they've kind of put in the process of this brewery opening. And I've been looking forward to it because they've existed in the beer world for a decent amount now. Bob and Brielle are the owners. Bob, I met him when he was a taproom attendant at Kane Brewing a while ago, and has progressed and through wanting to become a brewer, got to the point where he was making his beers out of 12% Beer Project. If you don't know, that's kind of like I would put it more like a think tanky kind of brewery operation, where if you have a brewery or you don't have a brewery and you want to make beers that go out into the public, or you have a small brewery and you don't have enough volume to make breweries to go out to distro, you can brew there and get out and about. And that's how I was introduced to the Esker Hart stuff. I've dug them, because they're, hazies and imperial stouts, which this is, but, there's been some pub ales, some lower ABV stuff, some stuff that really kind of ticks what I really dig in the beer. So not just to have them have their own spot open up and be able to do good, to have it be like one of the closest breweries close to me. Like some of y'all might be saying, well, 30 minutes, that's a long drive. I live in the middle of nowhere. It takes 30 minutes for me to get anywhere. So for it to be only 30 minutes away from me, super pumped. Stop by yesterday, actually, on Friday. It was actually 1 week. They've been open a total of 7 days. They had a bunch of beers on tap, had a couple there, shared some laughs, had some conversation. But I decided to bring this sucker home, give it a review, not a proper review, a review that I'm doing, which means it's all kinds of not proper. Where the hell are my bottle openers? This is like a very big thing for me that I can't keep my bottle opener situation like in any form of fashion coherent. Grab the old school F-bomb bottle opener. Man, I haven't seen this thing in so long. Ooh, nice little hiss on there. So this is kind of their only to-go offering. I don't even know if they're offering like growlers or crowlers or anything like that, but I knew they had this on release, so I figured, congrats on opening. Definitely have to take something home and give it a little look-see, give it a review. No, I'm not going to say the beer's assuredly going to be perfect. New brew, new system, new bottling, all that stuff, but we'll see. It looks pretty awesome. I mean, honestly, it poured like it was like kind of like super undercarb, and I was like, I don't know, this might not be the best representation. But that thing came back with a vengeance. It is now looking absolutely beautiful with the way that head kind of shows up there. This just super thick, Florida thick kind of darkness. Can't get any light through that sucker. And just like super rich dark. Not the darkest head I've ever seen, but we're talking about top 20. I mean, that thing is dark. Heftier. Darker than I like my coffee to look. Let's put it that way. It looks all the part of a big, rich Doc Stout. See if we get a nose. So we're talking about coconut, and what was it, Madagascar vanilla beans, I believe? Toasted coconut. I didn't say that, I just said coconut. So toasted coconut and nilla. Yeah. That's dessert. Dessert in a glass. I mean, it just has this bursting at the seams coconut. Bursting at the seams coconut with this really nice kind of like almond joy like vibe, and I mean that in a positive sense. You think about that as like a generic kind of like mass-produced candy. No, almond joy is delicious. Has that kind of thing going for it with this nice rich kind of or mounds, almond joy mounds. Mounds is the one that doesn't have the almonds in it, because I'm not getting almonds from it. Anyway, and then you get that vanilla in there, which I'm not going to lie to you, is there, but it doesn't seem like heavy-handed. It doesn't seem like omnipresent, because you're still getting a decent portion of the beer here, too. You get a nice, like, roasted malt, nothing too heavily aggressive. It could be Russian Imperial Stout and base, but I'm not quite sure. We'll get to that when we actually get in the taste portion of the show. But you're getting a beer, you're getting a coconut, you're getting vanilla. I know that sounds so, like, no shit, Sherlock, that's what's on a label, but you'd be so surprised how it'll just be vanilla and maybe hints of the other things, or just coconut, or something so at a whack as far as volumetric, as far as how big it comes off. Everything's there. Not gonna lie to you. It kind of makes me a little excited. So we're just gonna dive in. Cheers, y'all. So, absolutely 100% Russian Imperial Stout base. There's a decent amount of bittering in here. I think you're getting a decent amount of bittering from a roasted malt in combination with a hop presence here, which I think is absolutely 100% needed, because everything else on the other side of things is quite sweet. The beer itself is sweet. I mean, when you're getting the sweetness from these beers, even, you get the coconut, you get the vanilla, and you're like, wow, those are sweet flavors. And there's some bittering in here. Now, that sweetness is being derived from the beer itself, too. So it's a balance between those ingredients which you inherently think are going to be sweet. They're not bringing a ton of sweetness to the beer. It's a beer that's bringing the sweetness. But in the same time, this conjunction in concert, whatever you want to call it, there's a decent bittering, which is also part of the beer, which helps bounce off that. So your brain plays a little bit of a cool trick on this, and that you're like, okay, I have these kind of confectionery pastry ingredients and vanilla and coconut. That's the sweet part, and then the beer part's the bittering part. But it's not. It's like all working together in a very fun way. Nice mouthfeel, like really nice. Like again. Just stopping short of like Florida 5C thick. It's probably 3.5, 4 thick. But I think that's better for me, at least as a beer drinker. I want to drink this, not just have a couple ounces and move away from it. So I dig on that. The beer portion of the show, again, bittering, roasty, toasty, aggressive bittering, because there is a decent amount of sweetness on the beer. And with those kind of added adjuncts, that vanilla and that coconut, it just adds this perception of sweetness that if you don't have that bittering, if you don't have that aggressive bittering, because it is rather aggressive, I think this beer gets way too off in one direction. And you're just like, this is too sweet on sweet on sweet. I'm not a fan of it. Here's the other portion. With it being as aggressive as it is on the bittering thing, and being as aggressive it is on the sweet side of things, it drinks like at 16 and 17% beer. It's not, again, 12%, 12.5% is nothing to kind of like bat your eyes at, but it's drinking like a super high ABV beer, but not, well, still high in ABV. Again, not ultra high, which is really, really fun. It's electric. It's not like bashful. A lot of times, even though, Esker Hart has been making beers, so it's not like they're just open and this is their first kind of delivery out into the world as far as beer goes. They've made a bunch of beers. But you're talking about getting into a new system, learning the system, turning a beer around that is going to represent you as a brewery. Represent you as a brewery as a first time out. It's ballsy, to come out with something like this, because if you miss, then people are like, well, they're trying to be, big boy, stouty Florida beer, but they're just a little bit off. I think they're hitting the mark quite well. And then when you take that and you compartmentalize it with the beers they actually had at the brewery, sure, they had hoppy stuff, but they also had low ABV chugger ripper stuff, lager. Did they have a lager? They have a Kolsch. I'm pretty sure they had a lager. I didn't have it. That's why I'm questioning that. But then they had lower ABV offerings, more pubby ale kind of offerings, stuff like that. So they're not just resting their hat in the hazy realm with the pastry stout kind of thing. They're bringing a bit more to the table. I'm digging it. I'm digging what they're putting down, and I'm really excited that they're, about 30 minutes away from me, because I could see it being a spot I hit quite often. Yeah. I like this. I like this a lot. It's not going to be the best Imperial Stout, adjunct Imperial Stout that I've ever had. It's not even going to be Mount Rushmore status for me. It's up there, but as a first offering from a place, again, taking that. They worked at 12% and put that in your pocket. I said brewery just open, and they're shooting their shot with something like this from the get. I appreciate that. I do. And the beer is very, very tasty. Again, if you're into, and we'll get to that, we'll just do it. Is it one of the better Imperial Stouts I've had as a late adjunct? Yes. Mount Rushmore, a bit behind, but that's because so many people do it so well. It's not on them. It's more that I just dug 4 or 5 more. I mean, the fair share of beers I go through, it's a very tall order to climb up there. Value and availability, I don't know what I paid for this. It was probably like $15, I'm guessing. I don't remember. Small brewery, just opening, don't care. Brewery only, and leave it with, if you like what we like this. And I think that's the more important part of the conversation here, is if you really dig on pastry stout, that's what this is. Sure, it's not. It doesn't say lactose on here. I don't think there's any lactose in here, but it's very much kind of candy bar-esque as far as how it goes. With that vanilla, with that coconut. But the most important thing is, probably because it's minus that lactose, and because that beer shows so well. Since the base portion of the beer, since the roasted malts, the hops, the whole core of the Imperial Stout, Russian Imperial Stout, shows through, while it is desserty, it's not super hyper pastry stout. So if you dig on really well-made stouts and you can get down with the pastry side of things, I think this kind of falls in between those really, really well. If you like big beers, if you like dark beers, and you like them to come off a little candy-like, you'll dig this. Pretty sure you will. There you go. Review in the books. Esker Hart Brewing, High Bridge, New Jersey. Basically, it's like, for those that don't know, the area, it's, if you take 78 and you're heading into, or you're heading out of Pennsylvania or into Pennsylvania, it's probably like 10, 15 minutes on your route out of Pennsylvania on 78. Same thing coming in, and it's maybe, I don't know, 7 minutes, 10 minutes off 78. So it's a really easy trip. It's between basically Flemington and Washington, New Jersey, kind of, if you're going to draw a line north and south. So yeah, if you're looking for a new brewery, hang out, cool spot. It seems like bonkers parking when you get there, but there's a bunch of parking if you just pay attention. It's a small little town. It's a cool little town. Like, High Bridge is actually quite nice. So if you dig on that, stop on by. Yeah. Anyway, Esker, have you been there already? That'd be interesting if you had. What's your favorite beer from them? That would be interesting if you had a favorite beer. Have you had this beer? That would be interesting if you've had this. All that fun stuff down there. Hopefully enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoyed a little bit of nilla coconut stout. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.